Welcome to the RoxFilm 2020 Q&A discussion for the Children in Resilience section. The shorts we got to see were excellent. Thank you so much for joining us. First of all, we would like to thank all of the filmmakers on the panel today for sharing their work. Especially during these times of unrest. We see the importance of telling our stories and sharing them with the world. And you all definitely did that with the stories you presented to us today. We're going to start by having the filmmakers introduce themselves and then spend the time talking about their films. This is a webinar format, so if you have questions, please use the Q&A. And if you have a comment, please use the chat function. But without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get started. So for all of our panelists, how did the stories come to you? For each of the films, we can start with Yucef.
Okay, how you doing? My name is Yucef Mays, from East Orange, New Jersey, filmed in Newark. How the film came to ZAHRA and the Oil Man. So ZAHRA and the Oil Man is about a Muslim oil merchant who sells oils, incense, and Muslim care products. And it's at a time where with his daughter, he has to bring his daughter to work with him. And they both, they both learn each other. They both learn each other, but, they get to spend so much time with each other that they learn something new about themselves, each other as a family. And so how the story came to me, I really want to do a film about African-American Muslim community, specifically, because Newark has a huge Muslim, African-American Muslim population. When I talk about African-American Muslim, I'm talking about first generation Nation of Islam, the African-American, how the African-American experience had became Muslim, through Malcolm X, Elijah Muhammad, things of that such. And you never get to see stories about that, you never get to see stories about that particular community. And one day I was walking down the street in the downtown Newark area, and I saw a Muslim oil merchant, and he was pulling like his garden cart where he has his oil, his care products. His daughter was sitting in the garden cart. And so I just really thought about like, what was their day like, we know that bringing out, like I got an office job, so bringing my child to work is like easy. I just tell my kid, go sit on that computer, get out my way while I'm working. But that specifically, to bring your child with you to work while you're walking around hustling oils, people are like, get out my way, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's not particularly fun. It had to have been frustrating for him. It had to have been hard. Then at the same time, maybe in a rewarding experience for her. And so that's what really made me think about this story, what that experience was like. And I have actually a childhood friend who sells oils and soaps right in the heart of the downtown district. They call it the Four Corners, where it's broader market, where it's just like busy, ongoing traffic and people and things as such. And I guess I really wanted to show this very hard hustle, this very, for a Black man, like, what is it really like? And then especially, and they make a lot of money. And it was really trying to bring this person alive, this person of this,
Yeah, and I think you succeeded in doing that for sure. We were able to see that story and just the relationship between ZAHRA and her father, and just the story, the way it unfolded was really heartwarming. So thank you for that. Florian, would you like to answer that question of how did the story come to you?
Sure. First off, I want to say I met Yucef at another festival back in the day when you could do these in person in LA in February. And so as we were in the same program as well, since both of our films, obviously it's a very similar theme again as well. And I've watched the film 3 times now, and it's such a beautiful film. My name is Florian Schott. I'm the director of Pascua The Giants from Namibia. And for us, it was quite different because it didn't start on an idea that I had, but it started on a commission by the Legal Assistance Center, which is an organization of lawyers that usually deal with human rights issues, but also with wildlife crime. And what they asked us to do is if we can't do something, a film that brings the issue of rhino poaching in Southern Africa closer to, especially to children and teenagers. And I think what they expected was something of maybe like a little documentary or a little sort of like a teaching film that you could show in schools, like a little 10-minute, like a PSA kind of thing. And then I got together with my co-writer and my producer, and we've been sort of thinking about like, how do you really get across to children? And what we thought of, why don't we tell this story of like a young girl that grows up in rural Namibia with this, where this issue of rhino poaching is really a huge issue. And she grows up in relative poverty, and what happens if we see the story through the eyes of someone that doesn't know about this. But then this issue happens in her village and then in her own household, and following this story, we really started to hone in on like the story, to see it through the eyes of the girl, who's also at the same time really sort of like rooted in a heritage and culture, and so the rest of that sort of like sprung out of that.
Yeah, and I think you captured that for sure. We were able to see exactly what her world looked like and just the circumstance of how she felt about the rhino poaching. So it was well done. Gauri, would you like to answer the question of how did the story come to you? What inspired you?
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, it's amazing to have everyone here. And thank you for everyone who's watching the films. So my name is Gauri Adelkar. My film that's playing is called The Little Goddess, and it's about a little girl in rural India whose family does folk art for a living. So for generations, they've been, folk artists, and they live in rural West Bengal, which is on the east coast of India. And this girl, once when she's gone to the city with her brother, she meets a man who invites her for an audition in the city. And that sort of gets her thinking about, leaving the bonded life of her village life, and she wants to leave and she wants to go for the audition. And the story is about what happens and whether this girl is ready to leave her home. And I came across the idea of this film when I watched a documentary about Bahurupi folk artists who are from West Bengal in India. And I saw this family who acts in my film in that documentary. And there was something so captivating about this world, and there was this inherent irony that they dressed up like mythological gods and goddesses to make a living every day. They had, they dressed up as these gods who were very powerful and who could change destinies. But the irony of their life is that in real life, they really have to struggle on an everyday basis. So I thought that it was a world that definitely interested me. And this, I was in film school at that time, and I wanted to do a film that combines fiction with documentary, if you will. So I wanted to work with real people, but fictionalize a part of their real life. So we shot with this family. So we've shot in their home. It's a real family, and it's scripted, but the script uses parts of their lives that are that actually have happened to them. So for example, there's a lot of trafficking of girls that happens in the village that they live in, and it's a threat that Durga, who's the protagonist, her parents face on an everyday basis, of men approaching them to take their city to their daughter to the city. So yeah, that's what the film is about, and that's how I decided to shoot it.
Yeah, thank you for showing us that world. We definitely enjoyed that. Okema, please tell us about your film and what inspired you.
Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Okema. They call me Seven. So Okema Gunn. You call me Seven too. So I'm the writer, director, and producer of A Sisterhood of Signatures. And it's about a middle school tween who discovers a letter from her great grandmother in the World War II era. And she enlists her friends to start a cursive letter writing club. So this is a film that's about cursive, but it's also about signatures. And so in the beginning, her mother kind of talks to her about the importance of signatures and things. And then with her 4 friends, each friend kind of has a letter that they're writing, and there's 4 friends. So there's like a season for each friend. And so they're discovering the importance of signatures and cursive writing. And while I was making this film, I discovered that, well, first of all, the audition process for the girls, they had to write in cursive. So that was a learning experience for me as well as them. But just them discovering the 4 girls, middle school girls, them discovering that how signatures are so important in our lives. Because now, especially now with the voting process, with the census and the voting for the elections. So it's not just about minorities and middle school girls. There's a lot of different themes in there. So it's about, it's about voting rights. It's about African Americans not being able to vote or just not having a voice from slavery. It's about signatures, with immigrants, just the importance of signing your name, how that gives you a voice in general. Because I discovered that over the past 10 years in the state of Illinois, they took the cursive out of the curriculum and then they brought it back. So that was a major influence also. The other thing is that, education has been a big part of my life. And both my parents are educators and I'm also an educator. So I wanted to make a film that would impact education, but also that middle school group, because I found that a lot of films were not targeting those middle school. It could be African American, but they were not targeting that middle school group. So that's why I chose the girls were from ages like 11 to 14 in my film. So that's what I wanted to focus on. And I wanted to reach that age group. Really, the film is for everybody, but I really wanted to focus on the middle school group.
Right. And thank you for bringing that story to us, because I love the way that you were able to just show us the daily life, that these girls experience, but then also bringing in all of these issues that are connected to writing. And I think it's something that we need right now. We're so reliant on tech and, typing away all the time that we forget. And definitely for all of these shorts, we got to see, these young heroes being, just the heroes of their own story. It was great to see. So this is a question for all of you, and anyone can take this. It's from one of our attendees, Andrea Lyman. Was it at all difficult working long hours with children and young people, or were they extremely focused on the filming? So anyone can go ahead and take that.
I think maybe I can start on that one. So our main actress, who's basically in every single shot of the film, she's 9 years old, or she was 9 years old at the time that we were filming, and she was never on camera before, so she wasn't in any way. In Namibia, there's no professional child actor or anything. And so it was sort of like the double thing of, first off, obviously having her to have her get used to the film set, but then at the same time also to sort of like get her used to obviously repeating things a lot of times. And obviously if the whole film is based around her, there's not much we can shoot without her. So it was like, for me, it was really a thing of like, we tried to spread the film out over a long period that we sort of like didn't do too much every day, and that we sort of like, that she could manage it. And basically for me, it was really the main thing was to make it all like really like a game. We were shooting in a village, so we were camping with the whole crew. So it was really like an adventure, and it never should feel like work. I mean, although she had to get up early, and although obviously there was all the stuff in the scenes that she had to do, it was always like, we always tried to like always use the breaks to play a lot, and to just sort of like to have it like a huge holiday was just like a lot of play and a lot of like a little bit of work in between. And so for her it was really I mean, she really like we were out for a week, and then when she had to go back to school, she didn't want to leave us and sort of like go back to her normal life, because it was just like a huge holiday with just lots of playing and really trying to make it as fun an experience as possible, and really sort of like everybody in the crew sort of like taking turns on sort of like doing some play with her in between and stuff. And so it really didn't, for her, I think, never felt like long hours. And obviously we had long rehearsal process before that, so that she would be sort of like focused on what she was doing in the scene at any moment. But as we sort of like cast her quite close to the person that Camilla, our main actress, is, quite close to sort of like the personality of our young hero. So that's why it was sort of like quite easy for her to get into that role and perform.
Yeah, thank you. Does anyone else want to take that question?
Okay, I'll go next. So me working with the middle school girls, they were very professional. I found that all of the girls were very well rehearsed as far as being on set and knowing their lines. We didn't have to do a lot of, they didn't mess up a lot of their lines because they were so well rehearsed. So we did takes, but there wasn't a lot of takes. So that I was very fortunate for that process. As far as the parents are concerned, we had, they were very supportive with the, hold on one second, I'm sorry.
That's okay. We'll go ahead and have this next question that we have from one of our attendees. It says, hi, did the children actors reshape any parts of the scripts or narratives for the roles they were playing?
Oh, I'm sorry, can I revisit that question? Is that okay?
Sure, yeah.
Okay, so I'm sorry about that. The parents were very helpful in the process of working with the girls. And I think the main thing was that they had fun. So we had pizza, we had, there was like bubbles and stickers and stuff like that. So they were able to have fun in the process. And I think that really helped. The most important thing was, I think, that they were interested in the project and that the parents were invested. So that was the best thing about the whole project, is that the parents were on board. And when you have the parents on board and they have support, then it really helps in the process.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I really liked the whole idea behind getting cursive writing into their lives. And, seasonally, it looked like they were really engaging with the material. So that was exciting to see. So on to this next question. Did the children actors reshape any parts of the scripts or narratives for the roles they were playing? Gauri, do you want to take that one?
Yeah, sure. With me, I think we had a situation on our shoot where our ending was supposed to be shot at a railway station, but something happened at the last minute and we lost our location. And this was on the third day of the shoot, and we just had one day. So I had to look at the script and change it to fit it to a new location. So I was just talking to the family to figure out, what could be like a good way of shooting this ending without the railway station. So the earlier ending was that she runs away from her house. She's at the railway station. The train arrives, and then we stop there. So it's implied that she leaves. But after talking to, luckily because of this situation, I was talking to the parents and the girl. And they said that, just talking about their everyday life and what's like the biggest worry that they have right now. And they said that one of the things that really happens is that, they actually had, while we were shooting, like a week before that, they actually had someone approach them and, to take the name of the girl is Panchami. So to take their daughter to the city. So that part was added to the script later on. So it was added on like the third day of shooting. After we shot a location, we had to change the script. So to answer your question, it wasn't really inspired by the girl herself, but it was inspired by something that the actors told me, like her parents told me. And in fact, it made a better ending because it changed my perspective of the ending, because it.
I think so too.
Yeah. I mean, personally, or people always, there are people who've told me that why doesn't she just run away? And I think, in a lot of coming of age stories, we see that the escape from the home is the easier route out, But here, like after her parents told me that, I thought that it would be unfair to show an ending that says that it's better if this girl leaves her village and goes away, because the fact of the matter is that the world outside is much more dangerous for her. So we changed. So their input actually changed the script.
Yeah, no, I'm glad that we had that ending. I think seeing her, just smile at her parents and her family at the end, just that one shot was great. And just the setting.
Yeah.
I love that.
Thank you.
Yeah, Yucef, would you like to add to that question of did the actress reshape any parts of the script or narratives for the role?
Well, yeah, well, not the child. Not the child. I think the child, like she just brought the story alive. It was like, to write a story about this child, and then Megan, that's the girl who's the main actress. She just, she just really brought it alive. Just her beautiful smile on the screen. I was just like, wow, this girl's so beautiful, and her skin and everything. But the father. So there was the part where. So a scene when after ZAHRA and the boy Makai, when he was counting his money, and he just told her, girls shouldn't hold money and things of that such, right? The father had the conversation with ZAHRA about, because she was saying that the boy was stupid and that's why he's in his special ed classes and things of that such. And so at first we kind of had something where the dad was, was kind of resentful. Like, so, we find out that the dad is illiterate or pre-literate, right? He doesn't know how to read, and so we had something where the dad was sort of resentful towards people with education, and the father said, how about he not really, like he don't have to be resentful towards people with education just because he doesn't have one. So Brian put that, he said, what about him just, he has more of an understanding. And we was like, yeah, you know what? You're right. You know what I mean? Because just because someone may have, some sort of not even a dysfunction, but they just can't do something, doesn't mean that they resent other people that can do it. You know what I mean? And so we had to take a step back and really realize, like, because, the story's about, I mean, it's a love story, but it's also about a man who, who does whatever it is that he needs to get by, but doesn't mean that he's, this, dysfunctional person, or he's this toxic person. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he
And
didn't come
so,
across as that at all. So
yeah, so the main actor, Brian, who played Hafiz, the oil man, he was, so he really helped us, make that scene better, and we loved it. You know what I mean?
right. Yeah, no, definitely. I think it was interesting to see, like, the father kept saying, oh, I have a system and this is how it works. But at the same time, it was great to see that he was still trying to instill the fact that no, you can't call people that,
Yeah.
And he definitely came around in the end. And it was great to see that that respect between them.
Yeah, because it was. I think it was important to show that he's not abusive, right? Because for a lot of people, it's like, why he didn't come? He should have been more angrier with her, and it's like, no, that's why he went to go pray, because it was his issue, not hers. He's not gonna chastise his daughter for his, something that he don't know how to do or whatever. Him exposing her, she didn't mean it, and so I think it was very important to show his maturity, because some people, might not been able to do that. And so I think that's what film's supposed to do is to sometimes show a better part of ourselves that we can, like, wow, we got to be inspired by something.
Absolutely. And that leads me to the next question. Why do you all think that these films are timely? Why are they needed right now, especially these stories with these young heroes?
I mean,
Or Yucef, yeah, go ahead.
this time during this whole, like in this American unrest, for me as a Black man, right, I'm not asking someone else to, I'm not asking someone else. Like, I don't care if I matter to them. You know what I mean? I don't care if I matter to them. Black Lives Matter. We're not asking for y'all to say that we matter. We just saying it. We just saying it to say it. But we're not asking for y'all. And so I think it's important for us. Like, my film. My film is, it's for us by us. And I'm just saying it's for us by us. Like, you feel inspired. You feel like, yo, man, you know what? I don't care if we matter to them or not. We matter to ourselves, and we love ourselves, and our history is rich. Who we are is rich, and it's about us. It's about us. Whether the world wanna step on our necks or not, we're special. We're special people, and not saying that we're more special than anyone else. It's just saying it to us, and this is the time that we need those stories. You know what I mean? Because it's been a very hard year for me, as a Black man. It's been depressing. It's been up and down. And we need these stories more than anything now. Like, now on, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, all right, we saw the drug dealer, we saw that we can survive. We know crack had, was an epidemic and things as such. But right now, it's more important than now to show Black love, show Black family in a way that shows our resiliency. It shows, it's time to kind of like break those other walls of stories about custodians. It's like, it's tons of us in different aspects of life and things of that such, Like, my mother worked for PSC&G. She was she was on the light pole and things of that such. It's time to show her story, and it's time to show, all these others. Like, it's just too many facets of us that we have to explore. And so more than ever, like, this is that time.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I really like the way it painted, entrepreneurship, like your story, and, how there are different professions out there, but everyone can be as respectable. So my next question which will be one of the last ones, is can you tell us more about why it was important to have like the different shots that you had, so the cinematography going on with the settings that you had. Florian, yours was set in Namibia, Gauri in India, and just tell us more about those settings that were very specific to that area and why that was important.
Yeah, if I may start. Obviously, for us, it was really important to tell the story in a realistic way. So when we started to write the script, obviously we did a lot of research, and obviously we wanted to go to the areas where the issue of rhino poaching is actually the most sort of like where the most cases happen. And this is sort of like in the northwestern part of Namibia, which is Damaraland, which is sort of like mostly inhabited by the Damara tribe. So obviously it was really important to me also not only to find a village that fits, but also all the people that are in there. It has to have the right language, the right sort of like the right level, the right rituals, the right sort of like family structures, and so we were looking at we did. On the research trip, at the same time, we were also looking at a lot of potential locations. We must have been in like 40, 50 villages on 2 separate trips that we really sort of like checked where could this setting be. And then obviously for our film, it was not only the village itself, but then also some of the film takes place in these dreamscapes, or in this sort of like where our young hero can sort of like connect to her past, or almost like her ancestry and her culture. And so it was important that we find this sort of like, what you always find is this really this red earth, this red ground. And that was really important to me, that sort of like that this connection to the earth, to the soil, is sort of like that's what grounds her. That was sort of like that what's in her heritage, that what obviously her name is Pubahu, which means I come from the soil, which is really sort of like should mean that she's sort of like firmly planted where her tribe comes from as well. And so it was really important, especially in terms of the locations where we shot, but then also when we went into post in the color correction, that we really sort of like made it seem like it's really sort of like that she's almost one with the earth in these kind of scenes, in the ones where she's sort of like in her dream sequences, but then giving a sort of like a really realistic setting to the rest of the film, both in the village and then the places where actually the poachers are looking for the rhino and stuff, that we really go to these places where these things really happen.
Yeah, thank you. Does anyone else want to add to that?
I'll say something really quickly. I didn't really have an elaborate location, but I filmed this at my cousin's house. But I will say this, we use almost every room in her house, except for the basement where we did the makeup, but we use the living room, the bathroom, the upstairs, the downstairs. We use by the garage, we use in front of the house. So that space was very much utilized. So we were very fortunate that we were able to use that space. And you can't tell that that's all, the same, everything is the same house or whatever. But I was just really proud that how we utilize that space. And it just shows you that, that one particular space can have different angles and different shots. And I'm really thankful to my cinematographers, people that shot the film. They helped me with that vision of the look of the film. And so I'm really grateful to them for that. And so as far as the look of it, there was, some close-ups, some, a lot of wide shots like of the house and things like that. But I think most importantly, I tried to keep to the vision of my script in conjunction with the different shots that we had. But so it was a small setting, but again, we tried to utilize as much as we could that small setting.
Yeah, thank you. So that brings us to the end of our Q&A session. Thank you so much to the filmmakers who are with us today. We thoroughly enjoyed the stories that you were able to share with us. And I hope that more people get to see these fantastic narratives. So for the rest of the day, there's still a lot of films coming up. I hope everyone has a chance to see the next films in the lineup. At the end of the evening, there's a filmmakers hangout, and that's open to just everyone, filmmakers, people attending the festival. There's so much more ahead. So thank you and have a good afternoon.
Thank you so
for
much.
having us.
Thanks.
Yeah, thank you very much, and thank you for sharing your films.
Yes. Great meeting all of you.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Meet you. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks.